All right. Hang on. Wait, no. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Yeah. We can do that for the 24 hours stream. There we go. All right. Now, let's not waste any time at all. Let's go ahead and open up Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. You hear about the Steam controller? That I did. I did in fact hear about the Steam controller. Huh, it deleted my saves, I guess. We're hunting for lore. We're not here for spooks. We'll do 70. Sold out in 3 hours. It sold out in hours and it's already being resold for 300. That is devious. Yeah, let's cut that to 50. Cut jump scare to 50. Sound effects can be 80. Music can be 20. Then we'll do large subtitles. We'll bring master to 40. Okay. Cap it at 100 at 120 frames. Yeah, borderless window. There we go. All right. You need. Hey.
Awake. Frankly, I tried to tell my manager that I can't work like this anymore.
Awesome to hear. Well, listen, we need you to take one more shift for us, since you're our closest technician in the area.
Wait, what? I can barely keep my eyes open.
All right, I'm supposed to drive.
I know, the grind is exhilarating, isn't it? But we're so happy to have you on the Fazbear team. You can't fool me, though. You're just trying to snag one of those $25 gift certificates at the end of the year.
All right, I guess I'll just let him drive.
What? No, I'm doing it because you guys keep threatening to dock my pay and repo my truck.
I love that enthusiasm. So anyway, this will be a piece of cake. We had this contractor named Edwin Murray. He was developing some tech for us, but he's gone quiet. As per his contract, everything he's been working on for us is now legally ours, so we're sending you in to get it. Our motion sensors indicate that someone is still inside the building, moving around, although the signal's a bit erratic, but we don't expect any kind of confrontation. We'll follow up with more instructions soon. For now, just follow these directions and find your way into that building.
I hate you.
Amazing. Thanks for being a part of the Fazbear team. Dispatch out.
Secret of the King Mimic.
I just pulled up.
Good job.
Doesn't look like anyone's here.
I'm sure you're right. Those motion sensors never tell the truth.
Okay. How am I supposed to get in?
To access the building, you've been provided with a data diver tool. Look around you.
Wait, stop. Stop. No, but you're not. No. You're supposed to be playing a whole playlist. This is a whole playlist, not skipping to random things. Hello. Also, that's far too loud for what I believe I turned the volume down from. Thank you, 60.
looks like a walkie-talkie with 2 prongs sticking out of the top. It should be in the van. Richie slipped it in your toolbox during the last job, just in case. Gotta be there somewhere. Keep looking.
How much shit does he have in here? Wait. Quick disconnect coupler, check value.
Check your toolbox.
Shut up, dispatch. If that is your real name. Shut up. Assets in the premises, Murray's custom manor, random phone. What is that? That's got to be the date. That has to be the date right there. If I could just move that. All right, fucking give me this, I guess.
Good job. Well done. That data diver is your master key to the MCM facility. Do not lose it. Now get in there and retrieve our property. Over and out.
Okay, this has to be the 70s. That much is certain. What all is in this fucking thing? Is that a fucking NAS? No, it can't be. It looks more like a speaker. Low spring bonnie thingy. Damn, bro, you deadass live like this? I mean, I guess this is probably your physical. Exotic beverage is crazy. There's no way it's that. No way it's that damn good. Oh, I was crouching this whole time. Alright, yeah, I'm checking everything. I'm searching every ounce of this place. What's this all the way? What's this back here? It's a very unique color for rust. Excuse me. I think that's the FNAF 4 house. So then I think that gives me the mail there, right? It gives it to me. I have what the mail that's in that from whatever the hell was in that mailbox, if anything.
The MCM facility is temporarily closed. For all deliveries and work inquiries, the client and deliveries entrance is located around the side of the building.
All right, we're heading off to the side. X marks the spot, I guess. No. Maybe the giant glowing lights are helping me here. So now wait just a minute. That is clearly burn. That is visible burn damage on it. Is this a time loop? There's a time loop situation? How is that burned if nothing around it is burned? Well, I guess maybe the car itself is the only is the burn. Maybe the car itself is the fire. There's the infamous playground from the books. The one that probably shouldn't have got built. Well, over here in the game, it seems to be a fine place to put a playground. Alone and then you say.
Welcome, potential buyers, to Edwin Murray's Costume Manor, a leading powerhouse in costume entertainment and carnival game technologies. Woo! Come in and see what Murray's can do for your carnival, amusement park, midway, or fun fair. This client tour will show you just what I'm capable of. Get ready to be amazed. Don't forget, every one of my creations are available for purchase or lease.
Let me grab a little snack. So glad I got these. Oh, I don't think I like this. Sub 6 months. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Welcome,
oh, hello.
Welcome. The show's just begun. There's so much to be done. You want to be here to stay.
Jake and Omni-Man?
It's a kind fantasy workshop where you'll quite simply be amazed.
Oh. Hang on. This is causing visual inaccuracies. Turn this down more, because that's... Yeah. Oh, hey. Oh, I hate that.
A death-defying dive!
That's you. Oh.
Mr. Octopus?
I don't know if I like that. No work today? No, sir. We hunting for lore this evening. That has to be Monty and or Mr. Hippo. Is this Happy Frog? Is one of these Happy Frog? I don't think things went well for these guys in here. Okay. Oh, right, I go this way. Noodle, Sketty. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, no, don't you? Isn't there like a trinket somewhere? Bonk. Okay, that's how I'm supposed to go. Can I? Unknown, good to see you. Good to see you. All right, I guess we can't go that way yet. I assume we will at some point. It's not right this minute. That's a little menacing. Ooh, a Fred Biz Family Dino. We need a game that puts it. We need to get a game that brings us over there. We need to. Hey, some more mail. Yoink. Okay. So then, Were these data divers just being like used across Edwin Murray and Fazbear Entertainment? Because like, why does this building have these? If was the building itself built by Fazbear Entertainment? Hello? Ooh. Und einen Präsent for me. Hey, a Roxy hat. Can I wear it? Probably the not. Oh, okay. I can drop it by right clicking. Real quick, I gotta. There.
If you're there, pick up.
That's that there. Ah, damn it, I can't interact with that yet. Ooh. Well, okay, I feel like I should be able to. I feel like that should be legible. Help. And.
Hey, you made it. I knew you would. No one doubted you for a second. And those who did are now out $20.
That's good to see you.
Not
That boy's
anyone
gone.
here at Fazbear
Kim Glue
Entertainment
joined
was
from the post.
wagering
Thank
if
you. I
would
appreciate it.
survive or not. I mean, how immoral would that be? But seriously, great job. Now that you're there, and it would be very difficult for you to turn back, I should probably level with you. We're still detecting movement in the building that you're in, and we have a little bit of an idea as to what it might be. Old Murray made some neat stuff over the years, and unfortunately, it seems that one of his most creative inventions may have encountered some homicidal glitches. in its
Homicidal.
program. Now, these things happen, and I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. But you should probably worry about it. He was working on an endoskeleton that can adapt to any costume or character, large or small, with the ability
What
to
games
take
are you
on
playing for the
persona
24-hour
of the
stream?
character it
Honestly, a
identifies,
little bit of
with the
everything,
addition of the
probably.
aforementioned homicidal tendencies, of course. We'll be working on some ideas on how to neutralize this rogue endoskeleton. But in the meantime, just try to be quiet, careful, and focused on the task at hand. Always being mindful of the fact that this entity could potentially be inside any costume or character that you see. All right, take a deep breath and get back in there. Finish the job, and that $25 gift certificate is as good as yours. Right now, you should focus on finding a way to turn the power back on. It looks like you don't have a security level high enough to leave this office, or enter the power room for that matter.
A little bit of everything. Translation Gunner games only. This fucking guy.
Clearance to open the door.
Bro keeps calling me the muff because of doing Gunner games. But bro's the only one that brings it up.
Whenever you find an access station. This is not
And
optional.
bro's pointing at a mirror at this
Now
point.
go find that power room. Over and out.
Can I fucking use this yet? Alright, I guess the Roxy Balloon will just sit here for a second. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the bathroom quick. I'm gonna leave you out with this music. right, I'm back. What is this song? Just ended. Don't worry. It's a bunch of it's a series of albums, and I've set them to loop and shuffle themselves. So I'm sure you'll hear it again. And I brought a tasty chocolate snack. What's the album? It's just Good Kid. Void Boy just subscribed. I believe that's the YouTube side. Yeah, I believe that was the YouTube side. So Void Boy, thank you very much. The album is just named Good Kid. They're numbered. It's 1 to 5. Okay. Hello there. Here's your mail for today. Your mailbox is full. Last mail received 5 weeks ago. Foreclosure notice. Please respond immediately. Gary, I finally found the missing piece of this stupid power device. Just gotta head over there and I can turn the power on. I'll check in soon. Safety notice. What? Why can't I interact with that? No. Hang on. Can you turn the background music down a little bit? There we go. That's a recovery team 12. Jesus, how many recovery teams did they send in here? Do I think that's it.
Check, check, check.
Oh.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Great news. Power has been restored to this wing of the building.
A fraud point. Nice to see you.
Come on back to the security office for further instructions. Oh, and try to be careful along the way. We are seeing some strange readings in the area. You haven't seen anything unusual yet, have you?
Actually,
Great. Head back to the security office and I'll give you more instructions on what exactly we need you to retrieve for us. Arnold, can you hear me?
Oh, I don't have that one yet. There you go. Do you function?
That was quick. So let's talk about what you're there to find. Obviously, this possibly murderous endoskeleton has encountered some unfortunate glitches, but that doesn't mean the idea isn't sound or valuable. We think that endoskeleton has a lot of potential, and that's why we want you to retrieve Murray's original schematic for it. And after you find that schematic for us, we can certainly try to maybe find a way to probably save your life from it. If that's not incentive enough to find a schematic, then I don't know what is. Get that schematic, and with some luck, you can deactivate that endoskeleton and collect it for us as well. I can just smell that $25 gift certificate, can't you? You need to reach Murray's executive suite. That's where the schematic most likely is.
Silent 23, good to see you.
Your data diver doesn't have executive permission yet, so you can't get anywhere near it. Not a problem. We just need to find stations to upgrade your data diver until you can gain access. They're all over the facility. In fact, there's a station up in the warehouse manager's office. You should head there next. But before you go, take a hand crank for the security fence. Looks like you can get one from the inventory tube system. That's the big machine in the security office. Should be active now.
What? Huh. Hang on. Bastard robbed me of my hat. You mimic bastard. Don't just take someone's belongings. Can I can't grab the hat. Hello? Okay. I guess I'm just not allowed to grab the hat. Maybe in doing that. Rather.
Now, what are you waiting for? Keep on trucking.
How did I? I'm trying to like knock it down. Okay, I guess not. Now, I know something spawns here. Something spawns here. So what we're gonna do... Sonomy! Ooh, that's a cool name. Okay, he's gonna see me immediately, isn't it? Yep. Yep. I was like, the second I realized just how little in I was in, I was like, yeah, no, I'm dead here. I am unequivocally dead right here. What? The game fucking crashed. How are you? I'm doing all right. The whole game crashed, so we have to reopen the game. Let's restock our little cup of juice quick. I'm fine if you asked. I did. Thank you for responding. Must have talked fast. I do that. I do tend to do that. Let in light 1,000 times. Let in light. The mimic. Continue. Finished up a drawing. Very nice. All right. Okay. Weird. I can't hide. I can't hide in there? Some Demon Slayer. Ooh, okay. Give me this freaking rat. All right. Okay, bro, it gets to a point. Every time I'm in the bathroom, you pop up. You gotta stop. I'm sorry. It just happens to be the perfect time. I don't know what to tell you, gang. I don't know what to tell you, gang. Where am I? Do I have more time than I think I do to get out of to get away? Real Madrid, nice to see you. Ooh, bubbly. What you playing? Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. Real Madrid Fallout, thank you very much. And of course he has to come exactly my way. What's the secret of the Mimic? The secret of the Mimic is that he likes to take lives. That's his secret. He likes to send people to God. All right. Yeet. Send it over there. Secret is he's gay. That's very funny. He doesn't hear that? He is heading that way. No, he's not. You heard that one. Wait. Send his goofy ass right on back. Okay, how do I get him the farthest away from me? All right, this is a very bad gamble. Turn this corner. All right. Ooh, is that from the start? Notice how. Oh, I don't. Oh, I don't know if that's a yay moment. Blah blah blah. Chained Garcia. That's a cool name. How are you? Hope you're doing well. No, I just can't stay still. It's very funny. Good song, very good song. Oh, hey. So they don't want us over here. Wait, 9, 5. 9, 5, 2. You better stay up. Nine 9524. 9524. Let me check that. Let me check that. Monkey D. Luffy? Did I see that right? Joseph Hunter. That's a cool name. 9, 5, 2, 4. Shit. What is this game called? I'm so glad you asked, Garcia. This game is called Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. I'm reaching for a handle, but it was never there. Good song. It's my favorite band. Holy fucking loud ass elevator. Orale cabrón. We need to call some fucking repairman on that shit, dog. Can't even hear my first name being called in that damn elevator, dog. Hey, that's the creator one, right? Oh, that's I don't like that. No, I don't like that at all. Yeah, this is the repair one. Yeah. Let us collect. But I'll light up everything again. And then they just let that one go through. Órale, güey. Let's go. That John went and got upgraded. Yup. Went ahead and upgraded that John. Any mail in here? Hang on. Ooh. Probably should replace that fire hydrant. That fire extinguisher. Aw, I don't know what's behind here. Or Fizz Time Pop Soda. Have a poppin' good time with Fizz Time Pop. Ice cold milk. Nope, that's vile. Oh no, I know what a red flag is. That is a scorching flag. What's in here? Hey. Ball fest. Those look like gift boxes. It's broken too. It's specifically, look, it is cracked and damaged. It is a broken, it is a shattered fall festival. Fall Fest snow globe. Red Region joined from your post. I appreciate you coming along. That's a damaged. Oh, that was an extended arm for a second. Ghost Phase. What you doing in here, brother, man? What that boy Ghostface doing in my chat, dog? Good to see you. All right. Anything else? You got something? Nope. Don't like that. Probably won't be probably won't be allowed to go that way. Sure. Let's test fade. Oh, did I break it off, or did you just? No, I don't trust that at all, actually. I don't. I know a game I'm playing. I don't trust that. Andale, wait. You're gonna be gone, aren't you? No, you're good. Let's. Ooh, Fredbear's Family Diner.
Welcome, new user. Ready? Execute. Please select your method of delivery. Mail call. Do you need a snappy delivery? Ready? Execute. Back to work.
Oh, you're broken too.
Please select your method of delivery.
Huh.
Mail call.
I guess we go this way. Oh, that boy is. I knew I shouldn't have trusted this much. Oh. No, I'm gonna go all the way to the back. What's up, bro? Damn. We're knocking the oh yeah, I know an exit when I see it. Hey, rest in peace, that boy. Rest in peace to that boy. Rest in peace to that boy right there. No, see, Arnold, you should be, in fact, dead right now. Rest in peace, my son. Go ahead, close them eyes. It's time for a chasing, cabrón. You chasing time? Yep. Ándale, güey. Meet you in a slow dance. Meet you but it's too soon. Oh, I didn't like that sound. That was very loud. No, that was so unequivocally loud. Hang on. That had to have been the jump scare. Turn that down. Drop you to 70. Fun. Yeah. There we go. Jesus Christ, that like almost ruptured my ear for a second. Holy, why is the frame count? Hello? What the Hello? What was causing the frames to have so much of a problem? Nope, I'm leaving. Nope, no, see you later. Adios, cabrón. Ándale, güey, ándale, güey, ándale. Ay, córrele. What are the frames? Hello? It has to be the... It's the game itself. The game itself is apparently too demanding on my CPU exclusively right now. Oh, now it's fine. Is it because the area was shaking? Was that it? It seems to be fine now. Ándale, güey. Córrele, 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 cabrón. Córrele. Ándale, güey. I can tell you're gonna come out of there. Nope. Oh, violently crank that shit. What is causing such low frames? I don't understand. I have genuine no idea what is causing so low of frames. Hang on, let me... Just one moment. There. There. I think that'll help a little. Limit the frames that my limit the CPU that my browser can use. Oh, okay. Huh. Hang on. Órale, güey. Órale, güey. No, that's spooky. No, that's spooky, cabrón. That's spooky. Ándalos, ándale, adiós, güey. Ándale, güey, adiós.
Awesome. Glad to see you made it here without any complications whatsoever. So we did some digging to learn more about that bothersome endoskeleton that keeps relentlessly pursuing you. From what we can tell, it was designed to keep Murray's son entertained while Murray worked. It would mimic the actions of those around it. At some point, the endoskeleton was exposed to some sort of violence, the details of which are a little fuzzy. This mimic endoskeleton then copied that violent behavior. We came up with some great ideas on how to protect yourself. Unfortunately, we came up with those ideas before the last technicians were sent in, and they ended up with less than positive results. So it seems that maybe distraction and avoidance are your best tools, as a direct confrontation will likely result in the loss of some limbs. The previous technicians considered it an honor to lose limbs in the service of their company, and I'm sure they would tell you that themselves if they hadn't died from blood loss. We expect you'll succeed where they failed. 1 out of 3 Fazbear employees has confidence in you, so go get them, Tiger. I found the location of another upgrade station in the showrooms. You can get there if you head back through the welcome show. That's the room where you entered the building. Check the monitor. I'm sending you a camera feed. Go there. Over and out.
So he's just like walking around now, right? Nothing comes easy, nothing comes easy, you and I. Don't. Do not vibe check me like this. I literally just want to put this fucking hat away. There. Can I save? Can I save at any point in time? No, okay. Because I'm heading back that way. I think I can go this way now, right? Is he strutting around in there? I can't tell because of the music. Can't tell where he is. Reset welcome show. Oh. Something killing my fucking frames again? What you got? Update. We need to update the swing beat. He's shorting out every third show. Also, can we get Miss Help? Can we also get Miss Helpful in here?
A new world awaits. Now it's time to explore. Step right up, don't be scared. It's time to open the door.
And that was my patented Demotronic welcome show. Amazing, if I do say so myself. Please continue into the lobby and take a seat. One of our sales reps will be along shortly. Don't forget that everything you've seen and will see is available for purchase or lease.
They just fucking explode? Where does this take me again? Oh, no, not yet. I want to go put this thing away first. Can I go the way I came, actually? Okay. There we go. All right. Magic coat rack, magic cleanup, marvelous cleanup bag. Now we'll go back through this way. Come on, Arnold. That sleep deprivation will get you to lose your life. You better be careful. You're not turned though. But assuming you don't just become that one right there. Sleep deprivation? Is that why the walls are whispering? Possibly. I heard that line. Where the fuck was it coming from? That line came from one of yous. Hello? Did my game just... What even happened? Okay, so, you know... That's the second time this game has crashed, and seeing as it seems it keeps crashing for the same reason, we're not going to test it for a third. We're not going to test it for a third. So you know what we're going to do instead? We're going to turn this into a theory reaction. Reacting to FNAF theories. That's what we're going to do. So... All right. Okay. And then bow. Bow. How the mimic solves FNAF's biggest mysteries. Let's take a look.
All right.
Start at the very beginning. And we window capture. Full screen it. Pow. Game sounds. No, just mute game sounds and then have it play through.
All right.
Yep.
Time to sit down.
Okay. We'll do that so it's audible. I'll bring everything in. Okay, didn't there used to be? Yes, there we go. Yes, okay. Now I know how to. Oh, that's an hour. I mean, we do have the time. We do have the time. Credit text. I can't spell. No. Do that. And then. There. And I've got to add the same thing. The same thing on this one. There. There we go. All right. Make sure we've got all chat windows. All the good stuff. All right. We're watching Mini Byte Games, how the Mimic solves FNAF's biggest mysteries. This is an hour and a half of footage. And you know what? I think I might just record this for a reaction video. So you know what? I'm going to do that. What the freak is going on, YouTube? It is reaction time. It is time to be the reaction Andy. Oh. Oh, right. Hang on. I forgot. Because whenever you're recording, TikTok does not approve. So we're actually going to cut the TikTok live for a bit during this reaction and actually close TikTok, and then we'll bring them back tomorrow. We'll still be streaming on YouTube though. Now, without TikTok, we should have so much of an easier time. Sure enough, bread and butter. What the fuck is going on, YouTube? Family-friendly streamer entering the building. Yes, sire. I hope y'all having a fantastic afternoon. We've got an hour and a half long theory video. Bandit, this your time. It's the reaction, Andy. It's time. Lock it in, my boy. Alrighty. Now, what we gonna do? This is gonna be very simple. Every so often, we're gonna say ideas for how we think this theory is going to fully form itself, and predictions. We are not just simply going to take the content here. I'm going to make an active effort to yap quite a bit. Because taking content without credits, I mean, I have it credited in the top of the screen, but taking something without credit is stinky. And so I will not be doing that. I will be doing my best to add to this content, be it ideas to bounce off of this to show what else it could help, or just to show my thought process and what I think it could be solving. All right. Yeah? Cool? Lock on it. Dap it in, my boy. Let's get it. All right. Enough yappage. We're going to shut the fuck up. We're going to watch this. It's past a minute. I can swear. Funk. Let's get it. 3, 2, not 1, go. You know, that would have been very cool if it played the video there.
Alright, time to sit down and write my script to solve the final secrets of the Mimic. There can't be that much to write about. I mean, come on, it's not like Steel Wool added that much to the lore. Let's aim for a quick wrap-up in like 30 minutes. Yeah, that sounds about right. Shit. So I might have extremely underestimated the amount of content left for me to parse through, but only by a little bit, I promise. Yet, somehow, despite the odds, I made it. And now it's time to solve some of the most important questions from the recent Steel Wool games. And I will admit, I've been delaying a certain topic for a long time in this series.
I like
but
the FNAF
now
World background
it's
music. I
time
do
to
like that.
face the music. My name is Minibyte Games, and I am very happy to finally present to you with the 15 closing mysteries from Secret of the Mimic.
Daddy's busy, buddy. Why don't you go outside and play?
Overlooking the main property of the manor, Edwin's house will be our first destination for today. This won't be the last time we're back here today, but for now, we'll be skipping the main rooms and traveling right up to Edwin's personal office. Entering the attic, we are welcomed by the sight of a giant freaking hole in the wall. Maybe Edwin liked the wildlife in this area. Regardless, we can also see a tape on one of the walls, awaiting the command to play its recording. Let's have a listen.
Test. Journal entry. Too bad the new power test was a failure. Due to a minor detonation, there is damage to my office interior, as well as a small fire. Note to self, portable cleaner that gets rid of smoke damage. Or better yet, a Cleanovac attachment.
Help! M2! Respond! Emergency! Call for help!
Daddy's busy, buddy. Why don't you go outside and play?
Please! I can't move. I can't feel my legs.
You know, speaking of legs, what do you think? I just finished mine. There are still a few kinks to work out.
I'm sorry, M2. I lost my temper. I was always gonna fix you. Please, call for help. M2, respond.
Oh, can't right now, buddy. We can do something fun tomorrow. I promise. Ask your mom if she's not busy.
M2, help.
This tape appears to be replaying the aftermath of an altercation between Edwin Murray and M2. M2 was the Mimic program that was taught violence by Edwin, and as a result,
Fucking gun.
attacked Edwin when given the opportunity. An explosive or detonation is also mentioned, explaining that weird hole in the wall. We
Yes.
learn, as M2 mocks
I thought that
its
was a
creator,
fucking meteor.
that Edwin seemed to lose sensation in his legs, and M2 was given a working set. However, the tape cuts off before we can hear the end of this confrontation, leaving the conclusion up to interpretation. This ambiguity
Hang on.
introduces us to secret number.
Do you think? Well, no, that'd be far too dark for a FNAF game. I was gonna say, do you think the Mimic took his legs? Why would you create a robot that can learn violence? It's not that it can learn specifically violence; it's that it mimics behaviors it sees. It learns from what it sees. So if you show apathy and kindness, it will learn that thing. But if you show it violence, it will learn that.
Number 1, did Edwin survive the grim encounter with M2 depicted in
I
this
think
tape?
he's straight dead.
When first introduced to this question, the answer may seem simpler than it actually is. The murderous, violent M2 endoskeleton is free to move around, while Edwin is unable to move his legs in the same room. Logic dictates that M2 should easily be able to rip Edwin to shreds, and snap his neck 1,000 times over. And that would make perfect sense to me, if it weren't for the fact that there is no body here, not even in a neighboring room, nor a subtle hint. So what gives? Why leave Edwin's life in such an ambiguous state? Well, it's obviously theory bait. So what sort of evidence could there possibly be outside of this area for Edwin's survival? Well, not much, as all the other tapes and logs Arnold collects regarding Edwin occur before this point in universe. On top of this, the game seems to heavily imply that Edwin is dead by the events of Secret of the Mimic, and it would make sense to reveal that he died in the final tape of the game. First, let's take a look at how F10 and 4 seems to treat Edwin's current state of living. At the very end of the parachute.exe route, right before M2's chase, F10 and 4 makes a final speech while Arnold rides down the elevator. Interestingly, M1 isn't addressing Arnold in this speech. No. Instead, she attempts to communicate with Edwin to fix M2. Her belief in Edwin's survival is further strengthened by one of the final logs we collect, and her speech in the office, where we learn that F10 and 4 sent us to convince Edwin to repair M2. This seems all good, and surely supports the idea that Edwin always comes back, if it weren't for how the game sets up this entire situation with Edwin. You see, the player hears F10 and 4's speech right before riding the Mr. Healthful tram to the Murray household. Edwin's unexplained absence from the manor during the game and this speech have now set up a mystery in the player's mind of what happened to Edwin when entering the house. Through that previously mentioned mail log, Steel Wool once again brings our attention back to that question right before entering the attic. And guess what is displayed within Edwin's office as soon as we enter? That's right, the audio tape heavily insinuating that Edwin died before the events of Secret of the Mimic. The way this mystery is presented leads me to believe that Steel Wool wants the players to believe that Edwin died in the tape. F10 and 4 has been shut out of the house for so long that she doesn't understand that Edwin's gone. The hope.
I know I'm snacking while I'm doing this. I know. Sorry. Yell at me, I guess. These are good. But I know that it's heavily. Sorry. I know that it's heavily implied, right? And I do mean heavily. Oh, it's good. But this is still FNAF we talking about. For example, FNAF 3. FNAF 3. Final Night. It was heavily implied that he died there. Because, like, the circumstances would not permit a normal human to live that. But these things, this world shows that humans seem to be more durable than real life counterparts. I don't think he's smiling if he's alive, but there is a small chance that he lives. And it also doesn't sound like the mimics moving. It sounds like they're within eye shot of one another, but it sounds like something is blocking that path to one another. For example, the explosion and the fire. The fire could have broken down a hallway. There's wood enough to prevent the mimic from walking that way out of fear of damaging themselves. And Edwin can't move because his legs don't work. So neither of them are going to get to each other, but they are within eye shot. And they have to be nearby because they're in hearing distance of one another.
She
they have to be
doesn't
close.
truly exist, and the family will never be brought back together like how M1 imagined.
Oh, that's a nice
Taking
picture.
the game's narrative at face value, akin to how much of the story is presented, it only makes sense for Edwin to die at this moment. I would say this is an open and shut case. Edwin is dead, except for the fact that there is no dead body in this entire area. Something just feels off. To me, this reads as Steel Wool leaving his fate uncertain for the future, depending on where the story progresses in new games. They're riding a very fine line here, making it so that the general audience and story ends with a satisfying conclusion to Edwin's story. But deeper lore enthusiasts continue to question whether or not he actually died. However, even the lack of a missing body isn't enough for me to declare that Edwin survived this dire encounter with M2. But before we discuss the entire theory as garbage, we have one more source of Edwin lore to look at. Tales from the Pizzaplex.
Oh yeah, the book series.
Now, this is something I've been waiting to address in a Secret of the Mimic video for a while. Tales from the Pizzaplex and I used to be the best of friends. Tales Games was looking more and more likely as Secret of the Mimic got closer and closer to release. Then, the game dropped, and everything was lost. Tales Games was debunked within the first hour of the game, with dates contradicting most events we learn of from the Mimic short story. I was heartbroken. My relationship with Tales from the Pizzaplex had turned sour, and I was done with these stories forever. That is, until today, where I finally get to explain the nuances and aftermath of the Tales debate. You see, while the original Tales Games theory has been 100% debunked, that doesn't mean theorists have to eliminate everything from the stories. Tales fiction argues that F10 and 4, or whoever the new CEO of Fazbear is, creates the Tales from the Pizzaplex stories in-universe, aligning with the storyteller in the books using real elements to make randomly generated stories. While compelling, we have yet to see any FNAF book or other media existing in-universe. And while the Fazbear virtual experience does exist and is a similar situation to Tales fiction, the issue is that the VR game shows the real in-universe events. It isn't mixing up details or changing entire storylines. The only part the experience truly gets wrong is with excluding a couple details, which seems to be due to the lack of in-universe knowledge regarding those details. But hey, it hasn't been debunked yet, so who knows? Another recent interpretation posits that the original Mimic short story is actually from the broken memories of M1, but the other stories are still in the game.
But how would that...
The main evidence for this theory comes from a couple notes found in Secret of the Mimic. One in Basement Level 1 with the moon, and the other located in the admin wing. Both of these seem to indicate that someone is having issues with their memory, namely someone with Fiona's memories. Someone is having the other located in the admin wing.
Hang on. Hang on. I don't think Chica's supposed to be up there. Hey, Chica, how'd you get up there, pal?
Both of these seem to indicate that someone is having issues with their memory.
Who the fuck said birds can't fly, bro? Chickens can't fly, bro.
Given that these memories seem to originate from Fiona, and the use of the term corrupted file suspected, it is extremely probable that these pages are in reference to either M1 or M2. If you're wondering why M2 would have a connection to Fiona's memories, you can watch my theory explaining Moon.exe. Regardless, this means that either M1 or M2 had a corrupted memory file that replaced Fiona dying at Fall Fest with, instead, Fiona passing away at childbirth. I have a question for you. How did Fiona Murray die in the Tales from the Pizzaplex continuity? The same way that's described in these notes. Fiona died while giving birth to David due to complications. This is clearly described early in the Mimic short story. Now, I wonder why Scott would add a note that's a clear reference to the Tales books when he could have added any other inconsistency to indicate a memory error. A coincidence, perhaps? Oh, no, I forgot. Scott doesn't do coincidences, that's right. Personally, I view this as more of a reference than anything. It seems like a way to further separate the two continuities and introduce the memory errors of M1 or M2. The note brings up an event exclusively from the books, and then states that it isn't what actually happened in universe. But hey, who knows what Scott will include in Ruin 2, the Security Breach prequel, or Help Wanted 3. The final interpretation that I've seen circulating around, besides ignoring Tales, is Tales parallels. The idea that these stories give us narrative parallels, and ideas that the games will follow. For example, while Secret of the Mimic diverges heavily from the original story, they both involve the Murray family, the creation of a Mimic endoskeleton, the violent outburst of Edwin that causes the violent Mimic personality, and Fazbear employees being sent in to retrieve the Mimic. Using this logic, other stories in Tales, especially those that relate to the Mimic, could also be reimagined into the game's timeline. This theory allows for Tales to still be relevant to the main story of FNAF, while also accepting the reality that they are within separate continuities.
I like that. I like that because then it means we don't have to throw away all of the theories we made from the Tales from the Pizzaplex books when they were first dropping, and instead we can look to them for not inspiration, but look to them for guidelines as to what these new games are trying to tell us. If we see enough things that could hit back to those Tales from the Pizzaplex books, we can say, hey, okay, this game is about this set of books. Look in this, see what's the most common thing. Then come back to this game, see if they follow suit. And if so, bam, then it's easy to get right into the nitty-gritty and theorize. I like that. I like that a lot.
The Tales books. Simple. Look no further than a handful of the stories themselves, specifically GGY and the Bobby Dots. Both of these tales have very strong connections to the games, and those connections originally convinced me of Tales games. GGY includes Gregory and the arcade cabinets that originated from Security Breach. Bobby Dots takes place within the exact same Pizzaplex that we've seen now in multiple games. These Pizzaplex similarities are directly focused on throughout the story, pulling away from the main narrative to show our protagonist working on different attractions from the games. It almost seems like these connections are meant to tell us to compare Tales from the Pizzaplex to the games more directly. Revisiting these two tales, you might be wondering why they help the Tales parallel theory. After all, if they're so close to the games that they might as well be canon, why would they support the idea that these tales are parallel? Well, first of all, these stories cannot literally be in the games. Since it is very unlikely for Secret of the Mimic and The Mimic to exist in the same timeline, and we know that Secret of the Mimic is in the games, probably, that means at least one of the tale stories isn't in the games. If one of the stories isn't in the games, then why would the others directly happen within the game's continuity? There's no logic given by Secret of the Mimic or the Tales series to let us pick and choose which stories are directly within the games and which are not. So following Secret of the Mimic, we should assume that the rest of the tales are not in the games, unless stated otherwise. Therefore, the next best thing to explain why GGY and the Bobby Dots are so close to the games is that they are parallels. A character named Gregory hacking into the animatronics? That means Gregory likely had a similar role before Security Breach. A poor developer tricked by Fazbear to make the indie games mentioned in Help Wanted? This furthers our understanding of how FNAF VR and the new Fazbear brand came to be. Now, while these tales are helpful in showing the use of tales parallels,
these tales from this Pizzaplex? I'm sorry,
I'm not really sorry, important than the others for solving our first two mysteries today. It's finally time to talk about The Storyteller. In this continuation of The Mimic short story, Edwin finds himself working at the Pizzaplex due to a deal made previously, where Fazbear Entertainment bought out his company. When Mr. Burrows, the head of the board, gets everyone else on board about an AI storytelling tree, Edwin vehemently opposes it. He goes to long lengths to learn more about this mysterious AI. Sending Edwin into a state of pure panic, a giant white tiger head is revealed to be the storyteller's chosen avatar. After installation is complete, the storyteller starts causing problems all around the Pizzaplex. Later, Edwin gets inside the tree and discovers that it is running the program Mimic 1. Edwin attempts to shut it off, but is accidentally killed by Mr. Burrows in the baobab tree of the storyteller. After that summary, I hope you can see why this story specifically might be valuable to our two Mimic mysteries. While this story certainly has its differences from the games, there are also obvious parallels to bring to focus. Both timelines contain a program running within a lot of the Pizzaplex systems that just so happens to share a connection to the white tiger that was formally introduced in Secret of the Mimic. Sure, this story may be more disconnected than our other examples, but the narrative parallels of this story cannot be ignored. You can even address the different Pizzaplex layout in the storyteller thanks to—
What the Ballora? Did I see that right?
You can even address the different Pizzaplex—
Why the f is Ballora in here? Why in the f is Ballora in the Pizzaplex
layout in the storyteller thanks to VIP. Serving as the first entry in the interactive novel book series, VIP's canonicity is still in question thanks to the Tales game's debunk. However, VIP and some Tales stories include details about attractions at the Pizzaplex changing over time and reshaping the building layout. Therefore, the unique layout in the storyteller could be included to inform us that this takes place prior to the events of Security Breach, earlier in the Pizzaplex's timeline. Using the Tales stories as parallels for what we see in the games is the only way to truly address these direct connections and keep Tales from the Pizzaplex out of the game's timeline. But wait a second, if we're running with Tales parallels, then remind me of the main character in the storyteller. That's right, Edwin. In a separate continuity, likely meant to parallel the main continuity, Edwin Murray survives past the Mimic's original story in the factory and goes on to work at the Pizzaplex. The Mimic even sets up the same mystery that Secret of the Mimic does. Edwin disappears by the time that the Fazbear technicians enter the facility, and whether he lives or dies is never explained. That is, until the storyteller. where he dies trying to stop a mimic virus early in the Pizzaplex's timeline. If we're meant to take all this information from the Tales books and apply it to our understanding of the games, which is pretty blatant in some stories, then why not also look towards Edwin's narrative in the books? While using information exclusive to the books as a linchpin to a theory is certainly not optimal, we really don't have a lot to go off of regarding Edwin's status post-Secret of the Mimic. For now, I think it is a safe bet to assume that Edwin is alive and will be featured in a future game. However, borrowing more from the storyteller, it also seems likely that Edwin will die in his attempt to stop Glitchtrap/Helpy. I'm calling it now. Edwin will return in a future game. Viewing the window in-game, you may not notice anything initially, but...
No. Back window. Back window, far left, movement.
If you squint those eyes of yours and focus on the window to the manager's office, something has changed. The silhouette of a figure now stands there by the window, pacing back and forth, over and over. There's no one there when you visit the manager's office in person, nor when you trek on to the warehouse section of the game. So, what gives? Who is this mystery man? It's not
I assume that's
Digitiper,
Edwin.
as the outline doesn't match up, and the same can be said about either one of the mimic endoskeletons. You could argue that they're wearing a cloak to disguise their figure, but that's a far stretch to make for now. Excluding these candidates, I believe we are left with two good solutions to consider for our mystery person. The spirit of an MCM or Fazbear employee, or Edwin Murray. We see many examples of dead Fazbear technicians sent into the manor that died. Given how it's made pretty apparent in-game that the building is at least haunted by David's spirit, there could certainly be more spirits lurking around the property.
Oh yeah, definitely.
However, I want to focus on the much more exciting and likely interpretation, Edwin. Steel Wool making sure to add Edwin in an update would make much more sense if it were there to give us hints for what's to come. He's also the only person's fate left ambiguous before the events of Secret of the Mimic, so having a small hint to his existence would add to the intrigue. Not to mention the fact that using a dark silhouette like this heavily evokes the imagery of Edwin from the hit song Jackie's Box. I'd say it almost seems like an intentional reference that doubles as a lore hint. Going with the Edwin interpretation, our theory is confirmed then, right? We see Edwin alive and well within the MCM walls, so he survived the M2 encounter. And I would agree with you if we didn't see him from a distance cloaked in darkness.
And he seems to disappear. He also seems to fade into it.
Spirit watching us from afar, or literally
he fades right
doing
there.
Something else at the manor. However, I will say that we don't get any other hints of specifically Edwin's ghost haunting the manor grounds. It doesn't even really act like the other spirits at MC's
go back.
ghost. However, watching us from afar,
go back.
no
Wait
guaranteed way to tell if this is Edwin's spirit watching us from... I would agree with you.
Look at the shadow.
If we...
It fades right there. Well, no. Is it fading or is it just repeating?
Didn't see him from a distance cloaked in darkness.
It's repeating.
There's
Never
no
mind.
guaranteed way to tell if this is Edwin's spirit watching us from afar, or literally Afton doing something else at the manor.
Never mind.
However,
I thought it was
I will
fading
say that we don't
and then
get
giving
any
a second,
other hints of
coming back.
specifically
No.
Edwin's
It's
ghost
just
haunting
repeating.
the manor grounds. It doesn't even really act like the other spirits at MCM, namely the White Tiger. On top of this, why would Edwin's spirit only appear in the manager's office when that isn't even close to where he actually died? It just doesn't add up to me. It was also
could just be attached to that building itself, but
that this mail log from Secret of the Mimic is very strong evidence for Edwin's survival. This message tells us that F10 and 4 sent Edwin the blueprints for Cradle after M2 is violent in the manor. We also know that someone, likely Edwin, builds the Cradle by the time of Secret of the Mimic. In Edwin's supposed death audio, we hear M2 say that it just finished its legs. That means that whenever F10 sent the blueprints, it was likely after M2 had built the legs for itself, resulting in M1's conclusion that it needs to be contained. If the blueprint cradles are sent after M2 had finished repairing its legs, then Edwin had to survive past the M2 encounter to receive F10 and 4's message and build Cradle. This strengthens my resolve even further. Edwin is not dead. Alright, I'm finally done. Now we can move on to the next mystery on our list. Sticking to the subject of Edwin Murray, another ambiguous part of MCM's history is what specifically Edwin created. A major point of contention after Secret of the Mimic released was just how much technology
What if it was
and
all a
characters
dream?
that Edwin or
Dog.
MCM invented. From the insinuation that Edwin is the father of the Springlocks, to discovering the origins of Foxy and Chica, Secret of the Mimic seems to contradict what we thought about the birthplaces of these inventions. But how much validity do these claims have when examined individually? Did Henry and William make nothing at all? Let's dive right into secret number 3. To begin this analysis, we'll be starting by listing all the inventions we've seen Fazbear adopt that are confirmed to be created by Edwin. This includes attractions like Candy Kidda and Mystic Hippo. Even though we don't see either of them in-game, they both have specific posters put on display around MCM. Given that all the other posters either show off creations from MCM or projects that MCM helped with, it seems like a safe bet to say that these are both inventions of Murray. Since neither of these advertisements have other company names or attachments, both characters should be Murray property. The connections to MCM are even more pronounced for Mystic Hippo, due to the MCM symbol button on the machine in Help 1 and 2, and an unfinished minigame that was supposed to be featured in Secret of the Mimic with the Hippo herself. Similar logic applies to characters like Orville the Elephant, Roxy, Montgomery Gator, and Big Top, who is clearly meant to be the origin for the Music Man variants. All of these mascots are present within MCM for sale through either suits, cutouts, or giant mechanical spiders. More interestingly, however, we can also use this same logic to explain Foxy the Pirate. When exploring MCM, you may not pick up on Foxy's inclusion until you find yourself within the theater section of the game. Found on only a handful of posters, and more primarily in his own theater performance, Foxy the Pirate is proudly displayed as another product of MCM. As stated by Edwin at the beginning of your journey into the manor, everything you see within the facility walls is for sale. This would include the theater performance as well as the characters involved, including Kit, Roxy, and First Mate Foxy. Foxy being a later addition to the band, namely after Fazbear bought out MCM, would make a lot of sense with what we know about Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. In the original diner, Fredbear's Family Diner, there were only two characters present, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, Freddy and Bonnie. When expanding to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, which started as an MCM project, it appears that Fazbear Entertainment wanted to expand the band through the use of external characters. As a result, restaurant patrons were able to watch the amazing performances of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria in 1983. Speaking of Freddy's, if we have solid origins for Freddy, Bonnie, and Foxy, then where the heck did Chica originate from? Luckily for us, Secret of the Mimic has also graciously given us a great answer to this question. Starting early into your adventures, little hints of Murray's work on a project called Chica's Party World are given to the player. This isn't the first time we've heard of the aforementioned establishment, as the source code of multiple sister location teasers first mentioned the name. Unfortunately, it seems that we had to wait almost 9 years to get an explanation for the Party World. But hey, better late than never. Further into the Goofy Mimic game, we get even more information on MCM's involvement with the Chica character. M2 emerging from a Chica's Party box in a Chica mascot costume, numerous cupcake animatronics scanning the admin wing, and a company titled Chica's Restaurants? Whoa, let's break this down. Based on Chica's Restaurants being a separate company name, it seems unlikely that Murray literally owns any of the characters related to Chica's Party World. This assertion is confirmed in a mail log titled Chica's Party World, where a client is very happy with the Chica designs from Fiona. Actually, this message log is the source for most of the early confusion regarding the ownership of the Chica character. It is stated that Fiona made the character design of Chica, and other people at MCM were making costumes based on that design. Given we see a party box with a Chica mascot costume present at MCM, doesn't it make sense that the Murrays would have some ownership over Chica to be allowed to display it for sale? Thankfully, it's a lot less complicated than I just made it out to be. Context matters, And with that in mind, it is important to consider the audience for Edwin's sentence at the start of the game. This line plays specifically before the welcome show, a flashy display of MCM's work to interest potential buyers. As can be seen by the end of the welcome show program, this would have led directly into the showroom area with Big Top and Jackie. The people on these manor tours would have only had the basic level access. Now, take note of whenever you see Chica mascots or products around MCM. None of them are in areas where guests would be taken for a tour. All are locked in areas that require higher level access, mainly the warehouse and admin wing. Outside of these two sections, almost no mention of Chica is found, except for a single collectible. This leads me to believe that Chica was not for sale at MCM, due to a lack of ownership over the character. Murray was only allowed to commission Chica-related products for Chica's restaurant and their establishments. But what good does this revelation do for us? If we assume that Chica's restaurant isn't a child company of Fazbear Entertainment, then when did Fazbear absorb Chica's restaurants? Well, first of all, we know that Chica was planned to be a part of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria since at least the mid-1970s. This leads us to two separate possibilities. Fazbear already consumed Chica's restaurants by that time, or Chica's restaurants agreed to collaborate with Fazbear Entertainment and MCM. Now you could follow either one of these interpretations, and the timeline would work out just fine. However, it does seem unlikely that Chica's and Fazbear cooperated for Freddy's when their establishment is referred to as the Fazbear Project. No involvement from any other companies or brands. This means that while Fiona made this specific design of Chica, neither Edwin nor MCM created the character of Chica. Henry might have been the one to create Chica if Chica's Restaurants is a subsidiary of Fazbear Entertainment, but it honestly doesn't matter too much if he did or didn't. I'll leave that to people who care more about Chica's origins. Another character Edwin created that was later absorbed by Fazbear Entertainment was Moon, originating with his Sleepy Moon design. While this wasn't a major shock to most, as this was a popular theory before Secret of the Mimic released, it is good to get confirmation on the creation of Moon. And while Sun does appear in Moon.exe, it doesn't seem that there was ever a literal Sun mascot or attraction present at MCM. But I feel it is fair to say that Sun's origins also lie with the Murrays. And that leaves us with the invention that has sprouted the biggest debate over ownership: the spring locks. While not a major focus of the game itself, Arnold climbs into several...
I have seen people go fucking ape shit over these. Okay. Let me real quick see what time it is. Okay. I should probably wrap this up and save the rest of this for tomorrow, actually, because I've got a heap and helping and stuff. Okay, well at the very least, get to the 40-minute mark, and then we'll call it
throughout
there.
his journey. Dolly even says that the suit he was in had suffered from a spring lock failure. But we clearly aren't in agony from the same pain that Afton felt during his spring lock failure. What could have possibly changed? Well, the logs clear this confusion up very simply. One audio log tells us about Fiona's fear of someone getting injured by the current spring locks at MCM. These spring locks sound very similar to the ones we know from the original series, snapping shut after getting exposed to a little bit of liquid. Fiona sent this complaint to Edwin, asking him to make the suit safer for employees to wear. Based on blueprints and another mail log we find in-game, it seems that Edwin was successful in creating a Springlocks Mark II that was immune to water damage. These seem to be the suits worn throughout Arnold's journey, explaining why he didn't get punctured 1,000 times over when the
that boy should have been dead when he
triggered.
crashed.
The game tells us plain and simple that Edwin made an upgraded, safer version of the Springlock that is just never adopted by Fazbear in the future. But this still leaves us with a bigger question. Who made the original Springlocks? Were they sent to Edwin by Fazbear Entertainment for use, or did MCM create the originals as well? Well, let's take a look at the timeline of Fazbear Entertainment and their use of the Springlocks. Ever since Security Breach released, we've been getting these Fredbear's Family Diner posters featuring Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. This is pretty useful. We now have higher quality versions of these characters that have only truly shown up in the FNAF 4 minigames. After all, why would there be other versions of Fredbear and Spring Bonnie? And hey, you can run with that logic for about 10 seconds. Critically analyzing the two sets of designs, it is immediately apparent that there are many differences present between the duos. In FNAF 4, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie appear to be Springlock suits, and have a design more akin to the animatronics from Freddy's. However, these old Fredbear posters show off a more mascot suit design, not dissimilar to something you'd see at Murray's Costume Manor. Focusing on specifically the mascot version of Spring Bonnie, the connections to Glitchtrap's design are pretty apparent. The purple bow tie, the mascot design, the buck teeth, even down to the release timing of these designs in back-to-back Steel Wool games. However, more importantly for our discussion today is another rendition of this same mascot Spring Bonnie. Sanshi, a merch company that rendition of this same mascot.
No, that's cursed.
Spring Bonnie.
No, that's cursed.
Sanshi, a merch company that makes FNAF plushies, recently released a pretty accurate plush version of Spring Bonnie. This one is very similar to both Glitchtrap and the mascot Spring Bonnie.
Never mind, I like that a lot actually.
Vest,
Never mind, I
well
really like that a lot
facial
actually.
shape.
Hang on.
Interestingly, the name chosen for this cute little plushie is Retro Spring Bonnie. Being called retro insinuates it's an older version of Spring Bonnie.
I was about to
and
say,
not the one
I
we've
might
seen in
cop
most
me
of
one of
the
those.
games
That
William
looks
often
lovely. That looks
Given that
mad
MCM
snuggable.
only
No,
shows
sir.
projects that they've worked on,
That is a
and
$40
they're
snuggle. I
advertising
don't know
the
about all
retro
that.
mascot Spring Bonnie and Fredbear, it seems extremely likely that MCM worked with Fazbear Entertainment before the implementation of the Springlocks. Now, while I strongly dislike using FNAF merch for lore discussion or evidence, in this case, I believe it can work as supporting evidence to something I'd like to call common
but it's
sense.
not something that should.
We know from Secret of the Mimic
it's
that
not terrible,
Edwin
but I
Murray
don't think it's something
Sr.
that should be
had
used
some sort of
consistently.
previous business connection with Fazbear, due to him advising Edwin
Captain
Jr.
Chad in the
to
picture.
not
What the
trust them.
hell?
It would make sense then for MCM to be involved in both the singing show and the family diner, where they could have helped create the original two mascot costumes of Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. This would make the evolution of the Fazbear suits start off with mascot felt suits, move on to Springlock hybrid suits, only to be fully replaced with mechanical animatronics. To me, this timeline and progression just makes more sense than starting with Springlocks, returning to mascots temporarily, and then swapping back to animatronics shortly after at Freddy's. Besides, we know Fredbears had to be using Springlock suits in 1983, based on those FNAF 4 minigames, so there isn't really a good opportunity for these mascot retro suits to be used at a time other than before everything else.
Right.
Following this logic, it would make more sense for
no
Edwin
point
to be
for it to not
involved
be
in the
linear.
implementation of Springlock suits into Fazbear suits, if he was working closely with them, which is in fact hinted at by the many references to Fazbear around the manor. I mean, why else would Edwin even concern himself with the Springlocks if it wasn't due to work with Fazbear? We don't see any other companies or contractors interested in the technology. Instead, they still seem to be using either solely animatronics or costumes. But this has yet to answer the question of who actually created the original Springlocks.
Why is Chica just
Fazbear
flying
could
out
have
there?
easily sent them over for Edwin to reproduce, allowing for Henry to still be the creator of the Springlocks. And while this is certainly still possible, I'm gonna have to pass on this idea. Why? Well, one of the main things we learn about Edwin's character is that he's an inventor.
I'm an inventor. This could be a game changer for me.
Edwin is literally the perfect character to create the Springlocks, having the background, means, and motive to do so. As a contractor of Fazbear Entertainment, Edwin would have likely been commissioned to create a suit that can double as a wearable costume and an animatronic. Even in Edwin's house at the end of the game, you can see the bottom half of an original Springlock model, almost as if he's the one to have originally created them in his house. This would lead right into Fiona's complaint after attempting to implement the Springlocks into MCM's own performances, leading to Edwin creating an upgraded model that never got shared to Fazbear. Why else would Fazbear allow Edwin to show the Springlock designs for sale, unless MCM is the one actually creating these designs? This really clears up the origin of the Springlocks and doesn't require the books to come to this conclusion. There is still a way to connect Henry to the invention of the Springlocks, but we have one quick detour before we get to that theory. Momentarily returning to that original Springlock endoskeleton found in the Murray household, you may notice some interesting details about this particular endo. The surface of the metal appears to be partially covered in dirt or some similar material, and it's missing most of the top half. Looking deeper into this weird dirt texture on top of the metal, the origins of the texture within the game files are actually from a familiar friend, namely that of Nightmare Freddy from FNAF 4. Now, I may be looking too deep into this, but why the heck is Steel Wool using Nightmare Freddy's texture on top of a Springlock endoskeleton? Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to make this into a big deal, but Steel Wool could have used or made any non-character texture to emulate Agent Dirt. The choice to specifically use Nightmare Freddy's texture almost feels intentional, especially when you consider that it doesn't even line up with the mesh of the Springlocks and has yet to be changed by the latest patch. The intentionality is even stronger when you consider the placement of this particular endoskeleton, right outside of the vent that leads to David's room. Now, we're not getting into any God David shenanigans quite yet, but it is fascinating that they would choose to add a Nightmare's texture to an endoskeleton right outside of a room reminiscent of FNAF 4. To make this situation even more suspicious, let's turn our attention to the actual description of the nightmares from the Final Tales story, Didophobia. In Didophobia, after the gas filling up the fake FNAF 4 house accidentally fails to disperse one night, it is revealed that the nightmares attacking the protagonist each night were actually fake. Instead, they were only the top half of an endoskeleton, with a rough shell over top simulating the characters. With the other FNAF 4 connections I've already discussed regarding this Springlock endoskeleton, Edwin's house, and David's room, is it that much of a stretch to connect the missing top half of the Secret of the Mimic endoskeleton with the sole top half seen in Didophobia? Now, I'm not saying that this is literally the bottom half of the Nightmare Freddy used in the experiments running in 1979. Instead, connecting this to the insinuated idea that Afton took over Edwin's house, we could see Afton use the top half of this endo to create the Nightmare animatronics. Maybe the reason we aren't shown the top half is because it would look a little too similar to the Nightmare endo design from Help Wanted. This is one of those ideas that should probably wait for a DLC or more evidence before it becomes a strong argument, but it is worth floating around as a solution to this mystery for now. And now, we get to talk about everyone's favorite mystery character that disappears for half of the games. He goes by many names: HRY, Hen, Ski Ulrich, but most know him as Henry, the father of Charlie Emily. Most of what we know about Henry comes from the novel trilogy, and his limited speaking role in FFPS. There's a lot that we still don't know about this character, including his relationship with Fazbear Entertainment in the games. In the build-up to Secret of the Mimic's release, some fans were anticipating information on the knowledge of Fazbear, including Henry's involvement. And for what it's worth, we did get some new information. While the main focus of Secret of the Mimic was certainly on the Murrays, there are a couple mail and audio logs dedicated to Fazbear and someone named Hen. Now, I don't know about you, but Hen sounds an awful lot like a nickname for Henry, almost like they're obviously the same character.
I don't know, imagine that real quick. Oh, what's up? Yo, what's up? People call me Hen. Oh, for Henry, right? Not for Hennifer. Like, brother. Can you imagine what other name could possibly be there? No, that's funny. No, that's very funny. Okay.
Vanny.
It's just...
It is very similar to Vanessa. And also Bunny.
Thanks for the information, Freddy. These logs indicate that much of Edwin's communication with Fazbear was through
the gasp
Henry,
in the
who
back,
acted
dude.
like an intermediary. The relationship presented in Secret of the Mimic led to an interesting divide within the community regarding Henry's status in Fazbear Entertainment. You see, the novel trilogy indicated that William and Henry were co-owners or founders of Fazbear Entertainment, working together since the start of Fredbear's Family Diner. And, obviously, in that trilogy there's no mention of MCM. However, after Secret of the Mimic, some theorists began to argue that Henry started out as an executive working directly for Edwin. Under this interpretation, Henry would be the main one dealing with Fazbear Entertainment for MCM, and would relay any important information or details to Edwin. This idea could even be used to explain the difference in Springlock origins between the novels and games. Henry very well could have also had a hand in designing and producing the Springlocks with Edwin, if Henry worked at the manor. Of course, the main question that arises from this new understanding is how Henry would have gotten an important position at Fazbear later. Luckily, Secret of the Mimic gave us the perfect scenario for Henry to jump ship and land a good position in the Fazbear Company. You see, a mail log written by William Afton titled Staff Contracts illustrates an event where someone gave away MCM employee information to Afton. At the end of the message, Afton offers this mysterious person the opportunity to manage a Fazbear location. Why would Scott bother adding the last part of that mail log if it wasn't in some way important or a hint in some way? The first half is clearly meant to connect to the downfall of MCM, and likely leads directly into the audio log where Edwin calls the employees traitors. And hey, he'd be sorta right if many of them were offered new jobs at Fazbear and left MCM. It also seems likely that whoever Afton is talking to is a higher up at MCM, given that they have access to all the employee contact information. I assume Murray isn't trusting anyone lower on the corporate ladder to just have all this information. Alright, so who is a potential higher up at MCM that we know ends up working for Fazbear Entertainment? In my opinion, this role fits really nicely with a character that has been lacking a lot of background. Henry. We know the employees of MCM left for Fazbear, meaning this deal with Afton likely occurred, leading Henry to manage a new Fazbear location. Perhaps the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria opening its doors in 1983. There's no way to really know for sure, but leaving the recipient of this email ambiguous feels intentional. Why not reveal who Afton is talking to, unless it's some part of a larger understanding? The location of this email is also suspicious, right outside of Edwin's office. A likely spot for another higher-up or executive to work. And given how Fazbear seems to be one of MCM's main customers, why not leave this executive in charge of maintaining specifically that relationship? This would leave Afton with direct contact to this executive, allowing for Afton to take advantage of MCM's fragile state later and steal all of Edwin's workers. Is this confirmed in the games anywhere? No, certainly not. However, I feel it is implied through these small details, and it would go a long way in explaining Henry's involvement with Fazbear early on in the game's timeline. Instead of relying solely on a non-canon trilogy of books, we can finally use some in-game evidence to solve the origin of Henry. Alright, let's move back into safer territory. The Star Orphans. Yeah, these little guys. What's their deal? In total, we see 4 of them throughout the game. 3 on basement level 2 with White Tiger, and 1 on basement level 1 with Sleepy Moon. So why is there so much importance put on these little stars? They share a dual purpose of emitting a creepy glow and being used as a power source to places with the star receptacles. Now, for a start, it seems pretty clear that this is just another one of Edwin's crazy invention ideas. One collectible from the Storytime showroom is a Starbright nearly identical to the other Starbrights. However, rather than being used as a power source, it appears to be a nightlight used by David. This could explain why the Star Orphans are primarily featured in the White Tiger section. They are connected to David's memories. But instead of focusing on the Star Orphans themselves, I want to focus on how we can use these little stars as answers to previous questions. Take a long look at all the Star Orphans together. Notice anything? 3 of these Starbrights line up perfectly with the plush babies featured in every game since Help Wanted. And I mean perfectly. This cannot be a coincidence when combined with the fact that the colors are kept consistent. What does this mean then? Well, I
Ooh,
think this is
okay.
even more strong evidence indicating that Glitchtrap's origins lie with M2 rather than M1. Think about it. If the Star Orphans are associated with David and not Fiona, and the Star Orphans appear to be somewhat repurposed in Help Wanted, then David must still be here influencing somehow. On top of this, we can explain the
okay.
plush baby aspect through Afton's involvement, another combination of Afton and M2's memories showing its face. We know Glitchtrap has influence over at least some minigames in Help Wanted, so it only makes sense for the origin of these reoccurring plush babies to be the anomaly. If you want more evidence on this interpretation of Glitchtrap, be sure to check out my last video linked below. Now, I understand there is an odd one out here, that being the 4th Star Orphan. There may be a deeper reason for this, but I cannot seem to find anything to explain the missing orphan well. My best guess currently is that it's a lost memory of David. 3 of the 4 made it to current day, but the 4th was lost somewhere throughout the years. That is just pure speculation on my part though, honestly,
It's
and
possible.
nothing more. Well, that mystery was a lot simpler. Let's keep this train rolling. Have you ever wondered what powers much of the Murray Manor? I mean,
I do. Believe me, I do. But we're going to save that for tomorrow's video and stream because I keep getting urgent texts saying that I gotta get somewhere. So I sadly have to cut this short. So we're gonna put a pin in this. I'm gonna end the recording and then I'll send both parts to Bandit tomorrow when it's all done. So I will see you all in a second, YouTube. How? Stop the recording. Recording done. Okay. All right. All right, YouTube. All right, TikTok. All right, YouTube. All right, Twitch. Well, we will continue this tomorrow. Tomorrow, we will be back. We will make, and we will do the we will do the stream. We'll do the video. We'll end it off there. Hopefully, we should be able to get. Yeah. Yeah. We'll try to get as much of it done tomorrow as possible. And we'll try to come up with some theories as to how we think this theory is going to fully turn out before we play it tomorrow. But all that being said, thank you once again, as always, for tuning in. I hope to see you tomorrow. If I can't, be sure to eat and drink plenty, and make sure to have a good day. Bye-bye!